Shane to be here. And I'm going to tell you a story. And this one is going to get a whole lot of weird real quick. This is the story of a guy by the name of Dana Champagne. And Dana Champagne, we actually knew him. He was a guy who lived in Manchester, New Hampshire. And he was alleged at the time, they changed the story of this, but it was alleged at the time that he ate his parents. That's correct. He not only murdered them, but it was alleged at the time that he ate them. In any event, whether or not he actually did do that, he's always disputed it and said it didn't happen. But he did a number on the parents. And this is going to get into the concept of a defense by insanity plea. Only this one is very, very interesting because it set a lot of precedents itself. So this is how the story is going to begin. All right. And it was in the 80s, the early part of the 80s. And I don't remember the exact date of it, but it was in the 80s anyways. And it would be, say, like 1982, 83. In 1982, probably. But I knew his sister. And his sister was drop-dead gorgeous. And I mean drop-dead gorgeous. I just assumed she was going to be a movie star someday. She was that kind of beautiful. And she was brilliant. Yeah, like Einstein brilliant. She was, if she wasn't in the top 10 in the class, she was up there. She was brilliant. But she was also approachable. You could talk to her. She loved a good laugh. She was very friendly, soft-spoken. I don't think anybody disliked her. Everybody liked her. Now, her brother, Dana, has a different story altogether. Dana was aloof. If you met him, at first, if you met him, he was engaging. You could talk with him. He would engage with you and talk. And whether or not there's competency there in his discussions or rationale in his discussions, there was certainly some sort of ability, because he was cognizant enough to know you can make money selling the medications they give you for the psychosis that he had been suffering. And he had been suffering it for years and years and years. I believe he was a schizophrenic. I believe they actually classified him as a schizophrenic. In any event, he would go around selling Mellaril to kids in the school and different things like that. He was considerably older than everybody else in the school, but he was actually out of, or not in school, I should say, but he would hang around the park near the school. And he would sell Mellaril. He would sell his medications. And so he was rational enough to understand he could make money doing that. In any event, when you spoke to him, though, he would have bouts of what I'll term as sanity, and then bouts of insanity with that, or non-rational thinking. So when you talk to him, that's how he would react. So essentially what happened is one day on Page Street, Manchester, New Hampshire, and I got to admit, I don't remember the date. It was in the 80s. It was during school. It was at or about final exams. I believe it was finals. It could have been midterms, but I think it was finals. I noticed on Page Street there was a massive number of law enforcement. Every kind, too. There was state, city, every sort of law enforcement type of person was there. Crime labs were there. Everybody was there. I never saw her again after that. And I went to school, and the story began. Dana Champagne ate his parents. It was all over the school at the time. Now, he's disputed that, And then in the testimony, he certainly did cut them up or do something to them. He killed both of his parents that day. And he's never denied that. And here's where the insanity plea comes in. He's rational enough to tell people he knows he killed them. And he knows he's in trouble for it. But he's not rational enough to understand that it's unrational to do that. And therein lied the problem. That was the issue with the case. So they knew he could not, he was so irrational, in fact, that when he went to court, he was singing in the courtroom and things like this. There was a disconnect between reality and the norms and values that the rest of us have. But there were bouts of sanity in there. So there were two doctors that got into it. One said he was competent to stand trial. The other said he wasn't. So what the state did, was he obviously was not rational to stand trial. But what the state did was they put him in the state hospital in a given unit where they tried to make him competent. In other words, they were going to medicate him to the point where he would be competent and he could stand trial. It never really happened, though. And this, in and of itself, set a precedent because he's basically been in that facility all these years since then. And it doesn't sound like much, but it actually is extremely important. And this case is not a joke because two people died. It was assumed that well, at first they thought he ate them. Later on, during testimony, it was revealed by him that he thought they were flesh eaters, and that Ronald Reagan and the Pope had the mark of the devil on them, and they were in control of all of this, and that God told him to kill the parents and the rest of the flesh eaters. And that being the case, that is the story of Dana Champagne. And yeah. Now, because of the flesh eater thing, and because of the great censorship of 2010, I call it the great internet censorship of 2010, a whole slew of the documents concerning Dana Champagne have actually been removed from the internet. And the only thing you'll find now are the appeals. But the case has set precedents that have changed things forever in the United States. Well, if you like stories like this, like, comment, subscribe. But they changed the story that he was a cannibal. And now he just murdered his parents. They claim he didn't eat them. Subscribe! Shandabear out.